Hey sisters, welcome to class. Let's get our notebooks, pens, and pencils ready because I want to talk more about Africana Womanism. And I am going to be doing a series of all 18 characteristics, but today I'm starting with the first three, which are self-namer, self-definer, and family-centered. So, why? Why am I wanting to share this information? Because Africana Womanism is a cultural model that gives us direction on how to help build stronger Black families, man, woman, and child. So, as our culture teaches us, every member has a duty to ensuring the family. And Africana Womanism gives us the vital principles to elevating ourselves, our families, and then outward into our communities. Okay, so let's start with number one, self-namer. The significance here is in establishing our identity. And we know that during the Holocaust of enslavement, we were stripped of our names and forced to take on the surnames of the slave masters, which was just one of the innumerous hellacious ways that we were stripped of our culture. So going forward, we want to look at giving names, naming our children through the lens of African naming. And what that is going to require is for us to start dialoguing with the culture, learning about African names and how they're given. I know you guys have heard the saying that words have power. And it's true, there is power in the words. So let us, in partnership with the fathers, really make a point to give our children's names that reflect our cultural identity. I was reminded of a video of Malcolm X who spoke so eloquently, but when he was challenged about his name, his response was, if you were to encounter a Chinese person who said his name was Patrick Murphy, you'd probably look at him like he was insane, right? Because Murphy is an Irish name, a European name, a name that has white or Caucasian background. And so in that same line of thinking, absolutely, we need to reflect our culture in our names. It is part of what helps to give us our identity, right? I also wrote that we should give our children these names that they can carry with them for the rest of their lives that will help to preserve our culture. On to number two, self-definer. This means that we take charge in how we describe ourselves and our reality, giving ourselves the autonomy to claim meaning. We will actively define ourselves so that our children have an accurate portrayal of their culture and themselves. And they will have this knowledge to impart to the next generation, so forth and so on. That's a big deal too, because when we talk about coming from a place of not knowing, the knowledge is power, and that knowledge being passed down will help to continue to ensure that we have the basis for which we operate. And number three, the last one, family-centered, the last one for today. It is the liberation movement that comes first. So, sisters, ask yourself, what are you really after in life? And are those things really working towards building something collectively, or are they self-centered ambitions? Now, I'm willing to bet that your heart's desires, more or less, all sum up to having the ability to live out the fullness of your human dignity and existence. I'm going to cut to the Msingi here for a cultural scripture, and it's coming from the book of Ujama, chapter 3, verses 14 through 15, which says, "A decent, undeprived, and meaningful life without the limitation imposed by poverty, deprivation, or the debilitating struggle for just life's basic necessities." The cultural scripture goes on to say in verse 16, "To share wealth and work, then, is to share concern, care, and responsibility for a new, more human, and fulfilling future, And so that's just it. It is a team effort. The strength of the group is the strength of the person. And the strength of the person is the strength of the group. There's another scripture, There's another scripture. I'm getting tongue-tied. There's another scripture from the book of Nehemiah, chapter 4, verse 2 through 5, which says, "The highest form of personal purpose is, in the final analysis, social purpose. Personal purpose that translates itself into a vocation and commitment which involves and benefits the community. Such level and quality of purpose not only benefits the collective whole, but also gives fullness and meaning to a person's life in a way individualistic and isolated pursuits cannot. For true greatness and growth never occur in isolation or at others' expense." So, to the contrary, when we mind the interests of just self, it's not sustainable, even within one's own lifetime, because as we know, in a split second or a single occurrence, it could all be gone, lost, or taken away. And if we look at this on a very basic level, we definitely can find or have experienced examples of community where nobody in the neighborhood is going to starve, right? Even if one house has just a loaf of bread and another only hot cereal and another house just fruit, guess what? When we all come together and put together what we've got, we all have a feast. Everybody took their little bit, and now we have a lot. Same principle applies when we talk about working collectively, first within the family and then outwards into the community. Don't you know that our whole race is at risk? Seriously. And ultimately, it is our responsibility. We are responsible for our survival, starting with the family. Black man, Black woman, and Black child. Here's my end note. All of this I'm speaking of has already been in the fabric of our DNA, our genetic code. So what I'm sharing is reflections of women who have come before me. It is custom of our people to look to our past for guidance so that we can stay grounded. Here's one more verse for you from the book of Ujima, chapter 2, verse 1 through 5, which says, "The principle of collective work and responsibility also points to the fact that African freedom is indivisible. It shelters the assumption that as long as any African anywhere is oppressed, exploited, enslaved, or wounded in any way in her or his humanity, all African people are also. It thus rejects the possibility or desirability of individual freedom in any unfree context. Instead, excuse me, it poses the need for struggle to create a context in which all can be free. Ujima rejects escapist and abstract humanism and supports the humanism that begins with commitment to, and concern for the humans among whom we live and to whom we owe our existence, our own people. Okay, so I'm going to end it with the phrase, I am because we are. Not only is this a phrase, but this is real life. This is reality. I cannot exist in and of myself. It took the coming together of my mother and father for me to be here, right? So that African philosophy of Ubuntu, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, Ubuntu, but I am because we are, basically sums it up, right? It sums up our need and our responsibility to collectivism. And that's all I've got for today. Sisters, I would love to dialogue with you on this topic. I am going to also put links in the post to several videos that I have watched that you may be interested in viewing as well. Talking more about Africana womanism, talking about Kujichagulia, which means self-determination, and talking about the importance of cultural identity. So please do check those out. Hit me up in the comments. Let's dialogue with each other, get conversations going. I'd love to hear from you, and looking forward to continue growing with you as well. All right, Kwa Utamaduni, which means for the culture.